Welcome guys to another video. I wanted to talk about the meaning of what freedom actually means, the true essence of freedom. Not freedom that we think relative to the prison planet that we're on. 90% of us on this planet are wage slaves, but the other 10% who don't work, who sit and get provided for by other people. So there's no way, if you work for a wage, whether you work for a salary, whether you work or you're an hourly paid person, whatever you do, that you have to go wherever place you go to earn your income. Even people who monetize their channels on YouTube, everybody's a damn slave. Okay, let's stop the prideful talk and say, oh, I earn a lot of money, I love my job, but it's not a job, it's a career, I love what I do. Yes, you've brainwashed yourself to deal with your reality. You've adapted your mind, you've adapted your psyche to believe and go all in, 100% all in this system, that you've made yourself believe that what you're doing is okay and that you still have freedoms. So a lot of the times what people try to do, they try to compare their life to people who are in prison. And they tell themselves, oh, I'm not in prison, I'm not incarcerated, so that means that I'm free. Well, that's relative to the comparison. If you're comparing yourself to a person in prison, then of course you feel like you're free. All in all, we're all prisoners. We're all slaves to a degree. When you are stuck in a cipher, when I say cipher, it means that a perpetuating circle that you never escape from. It's a vicious cycle. And it has borders, and you cannot go beyond those borders. You can't expand beyond that. And I talk about this in regards to how we look at our 3D reality. There are just certain things that we cannot get out of. I talked about this on the previous video when I talked about the laws of physics, the laws of the three-dimensional reality that we live in. There are just certain things that we're limited to do. We can't fly. I mean, we could fly in airplanes, but you know what I mean? Like, we can't personally just fly. We can't levitate. We can't walk through walls. We can't freeze time. We can't go back in time. Like, we can't do the things that you see the Avengers do in movies. We don't have those supernatural abilities in this realm. So when you're talking about freedom, your freedom is only defined by the reality that you're stuck in. You're confining the definition based upon the immediate or the instant placement that you're in. So if I am locked up in prison, all right, and I have the ability to have my recreational time, I have the ability to come outside my cell, I have the ability to go to the library and study. And then you have another prisoner who's done something very, very wrong, who's violated the policies of prison, and that prisoner is put away in solitary confinement, which is a much more severe state of existence compared to the person that's in prison. So relatively speaking, the man that's in prison, who has the liberty to go to the library, who has the liberty to go to rec time, who has the liberty to do what he wants within the prison, will see himself as being free compared to the one that's in solitary confinement. So I want you guys to get the layers of slavery. They're all slavery. We're all prisoners. It's just relative to how your mind accepts it. But if you expand your mind a bit and you endeavor to evolve and increase your sense of critical thinking, you'll look at the whole construct of the way the world is made and the way the world is devised and the systems that we give ourselves to. We're all slaves. We work for something. And the only people who aren't slaves are the people that we work for. They are a total of 13 families that run the world. Rothschilds, over $700 trillion worth. The Rockefellers, and you have other families as well, but I know the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers are the two main families that run the world. Now you say, how can they run the world? Well, they run the world because they own all the systems. The Bilderberg groups, these secret meetings that these people have. It's whoever has the money controls the world. And whoever you work for, whether you work for Walmart, whether you work for McDonald's, whether you work for the government, you don't work for the government. You work for the people who own the government. You work for the people who own the system. And the banks own the system. Just like a lot of people think they own their home. No, you don't. You bought a home. The bank owns your home. Don't pay your mortgage and see what happens. The bank will take your house. You bought a car note. Don't pay your car note and watch what happens to your car. The bank will seize your assets. So we don't own anything. We're just slaves. We're wage slaves. And we work to get a wage to pay the bills so we can be strengthened enough to come back and give our energy and give our time to the slave master. See, the slave master doesn't have to feed us. The slave master doesn't have to clothe us. The slave master doesn't have to give us a vehicle to transport from home to work and work to home. They give us just enough money to provide ourselves with the things needed in order to give our time and energy to our workplace. So you see how that works? And then they allot you, they patronize us by giving you a couple of days off out of the week. But do you know those couple of days off out of the week that you have off, you're trying to catch up to everything that you missed because you were given most of your time at work. And these are just the people who work 40 hours a week. We're not even talking about the people who do overtime, the people who go 60, 70 hours a week. And they look at that and they deem that as something that's commendable. They say, oh yeah, I'm a hard worker. No, you're just a hard working slave. I would rather you spend your time working on yourself than spend your time giving your energy and all your effort and all your resources to a job. Because if you die today and you got fired today, that job will still exist. That job will go on with or without you. You are just another piece, and significant piece, I would say, to that corporation. I don't give a damn how hard you work. I don't give a damn how much they tell you that you're valued. If you die or if you stop coming to work, they'll figure it out without you. You're not that important. You're just another piece that they can add or another piece they can omit. Okay? So what I want you guys to start doing is focusing on yourself. Spend your time and your energy trying to be healthy. Spend your time and energy meditating. Spend your time and energy eating right. Spend your time and energy on yourself. I'd rather you give 110% on your body and on your temple, on your psyche, on your wellness, than giving 110% to your job. For what? We've been sold a damn lie. Well, if you work hard, you climb the success ladder. That's a bunch of bull S. That's a bunch of BS. How many people are in debt today because they believe the story of going to college to get your education and then you're going to be successful? How many people are in debt because they took loans out? How many people are still paying on those loans? I know you guys are, because I'm one of them. I believe the damn lie. It's a freaking lie. All right? We're all slaves. And you may ask yourself, well, what do we do? There's nothing we can do about it, because we're all, it would take a concentrated effort on the part of everybody. Everybody would have to chip in. Not one person. Like, one person can't be sold out. We all have to be sold in. Meaning that we all say, man, screw this. Everybody stop going to work. No one goes to work. Watch what happens to the system in a week. It collapses. Now, and during the COVID time, they were able to shut down certain things. But during COVID, everything wasn't shut down. There were certain things that were still open. I'm talking about a wholesale shutdown of every business. Nobody go to work. Nobody. Teachers, principals, police officers, everybody. Shut it down. Because the system is only successful and functioning because we are giving it the energy it needs to function. We are the masses. We are more than those who control us. But we acquiesce to these demonic devices, and we wonder why our lives are so pitiful. And you may tell yourself this. You may say, well, you may say, hey, man, if I don't go to work, if nobody goes to work, then what would people be doing? Will people just be going around robbing people and stealing? No, people wouldn't be robbing and stealing. You know what will happen? We have enough resources on the planet where no one has to work. We have enough technology where robots can do the work for us. It's not about work. It's about using our advancements, using our technological advancements to help us do the things that are not important. The things that are important is us spending time with our families, spending time on ourselves. Now, initially, if there was a law, if there was some kind of decree that was put forth that said, hey, nobody ever has to go to work ever again, there would be a shock to the system. It would be a shock to the ecosystem's equilibrium, because everyone is going to be like, oh, what do we do now? Hold on, whoa. Because you know what happens to people who've worked all their lives, right? When they retire, they don't know what to do with themselves, because your body and your mind has been used to doing something for so many years. So to just stop cold turkey, it's sort of difficult to pivot when you've been doing something for so long and giving your time and energy to that one thing, right? So if everybody stopped working, it's going to be hard for the adults to adapt. But the children coming up, you know what would happen? People will become better thinkers. People will become better creators. People will become better explorers. I'm talking about where money doesn't matter anymore. You can just get what you need. Natural resources, water, fruits, vegetables, those things will be free because those things are naturally given by the earth, right? So we won't be bogged down by a monetary system where people are competing to get the dollar in this damn stupid ass rat race that we find ourselves in. We wouldn't have that. So what would happen? Well, we've been told the lie that at idle times the devil's workshop, that you need to go to work, that by the sweat of your brow you shall eat. But those people who wrote those books were not your gods. They were fallen entities from another planet. They want you to be a slave to the system. Okay? We are in a prison planet that has so many resources. So many other extraterrestrials have came to this planet, which is a seed planet, a planted planet that has a lot of resources. We've had extraterrestrial ships that came to Earth to take our gold on this Earth. There are many, many, many resources on this planet. All right? It's just being hoarded by a few and controlled by a few. We don't need to go buy vehicles because we won't need to go to work. Now, you may say, well, what would people do with their time? Oh, trust me, people will figure out things to do with their time. But it would take time for people to adapt to that type of lifestyle because we've been so immersed in this wage slavery economy that to think of an alternative is hard to put our mind around that. It's hard to encapsulate that type of reality, right? It's like, what would I do? I know what I would do because I think of it all the time. My mind is not shifted into the system. I don't believe in the system. I've never believed in this damn system. So I know what I'll do with my time. So just like when you leave a kid to be and you don't put him in these military industrialized complexes like going to daycare, learning how to be obedient to authority, going to school, knowing how to shift from one class to another when the bell rings, doing this and doing that, training those kids to be good workers for the system, training those students to be good workers and good wage slaves for the system. If you live kids be, after a while, they'll get bored because what's happening is that so many people's times are being pulled away from self that when people do get a minute to themselves, they are on their cell phones. They are trying to do something quickly to satisfy that urge for self. The next thing you know, you got to give that up. You got to wake up and go to this. You got to wake up and go to that. You got to go to this. If people didn't have to do anything, the natural human proclivity is to create. The natural human proclivity is to bond, is to connect, is to build, is to serve one another. I'm serious. I don't think that you guys have enough faith in the human race. I do. I really do. I think it's the free market economy that makes us greedy. I feel like it's the rat race that makes us the way we are. I think it's the pursuit of money that makes us evil. It's the pursuit of money that causes people to lie and cheat and steal to get to where they want. If everything was free and everything was created by robots and technology, and we didn't have to do anything because we live in a resource-based economy, then that would kill the urge for people to steal because you have everything that you need. What you will do is start to build stronger communities, and you'll start to think. I remember this was a quote said by Rothschild many years ago. He said this, and I don't think you guys understand what they understand. It's not just smart people are rich and the dumber people are poor. It's not that. These families have extraterrestrial connections, okay? They have flesh and blood like us. But deep down internally, they are exposed to secret knowledge and secret practices that we're not aware of. They are exposed to witchcraft, sorcery, numerology, quantum physics, sacred geometry, metaphysics. They have a superhuman ability in terms of understanding the human psyche and the human bent. They're the ones that are in charge of polluting the skies with chemtrails. They're the ones that are devising these medical practices. I could go on and on. They could print money at will. And they could pay people at will to shut up. And if you become too big of a threat, and they see that your actions may somehow lead to their demise, you'll be taken out quicker than you can blink. These people have power. Rothschild, he said, we don't want a thinking class. I'm going to pull up the quote. I'm going to put it on my community page on YouTube. I'm going to write it. I'm going to pull it up so you guys know that I'm not pulling this out of my ass. He said, we don't want a thinking class. We want a working class. Think about that for a second. See, if you're not working, you're thinking. And if you're thinking, you're more ingenuitive. You're more innovative. You have a higher sense of introspection. You become a better critical thinker. You become a better builder. Because naturally, if we're left to be with our own devices, we will be better builders of things. We will be better creators of things. But when you're spending your time going to work all the time, you're working for somebody else. And they've told you that if you go to college, you become an expert at a certain field, but they're controlling what's deemed to be an expert. You think the people who call themselves doctors or medical experts, they're not medical experts. The system calls them medical experts. I know people who live in the bushes and the recessed jungles of Africa who have better practices of healing people than any doctor in America does. They don't have degrees. They just understand how nature and the body work as one. You see, the military-industrial complex, they create the ecosystem, the job system, the job force. They create the jobs, right? So they have you pigeonholed to pick out of those options. And they create what's deemed to be an expert. They say, oh, these guys are experts based on what? What standards? What makes you an expert? Because you spend a lot of time studying something? You could spend a lot of time studying something that's false. That doesn't make you an expert. Okay? And if you let people be, especially if you let the melanated race be, we'll connect to our higher selves. And since we are in the age of Aquarius, the Great Awakening will come quicker than we can think. The Great Awakening is the Christ consciousness, the Christos. This is when the awakening of our people comes into play. Because we were in charge of the planet before tampering with genetics and all this other extraterrestrials started to play around with our genes and manufacture other races and build another race to oppress us. Because we're not the same as them. When I say them, you know exactly who the hell I'm talking about. The pale-skinned parasites. That's why parasites are white. Parasites there's no parasite that has color. Parasites like to leech on to a host that has nutrients, and they suck you dry. And that's what's happening to the melanated race on this planet. We're all wage slaves. We're all wage slaves. So this idea of working by the sweat of your brow, that's nonsense. And I think what's happening with our youth is not that our youth are lazy. They're not lazy. They're understanding there's something deeply sown in them that's making them go against the system. It's not that, oh, kids these days don't know how to work hard. Nah, it's not about working hard. They understand that this is a bunch of bull S. It's a bunch of BS. They don't want to go to work because they know it doesn't make sense. Work, they want something else. There needs to be a whole another infrastructure that's built for the age that's coming up today, the new age of the kids that are coming up today. They're not worse than us. Stop this comparison nonsense. They're not worse. They're deeper thinkers than we are. They're not following, oh, the Bible says I got to go to work. No, they're not doing that. They're waking up. And usually the waking up process is very messy. Just like in bed, if somebody wakes you up, you're like, oh, I'm trying to sleep. That conversion, that time of conversion starts a lot of eruptions. That time of conversion is not peaceful. Transition is never peaceful, especially when you are going against the grain of what the status quo says. These kids are waking up. They're not dumb. They're not dumb. They're starting to see that this is BS. And I hope one day that anarchy happens. I really do. Because it takes a total, massive, chaotic event of mass destruction to break the system down, to just erect a new system. Will that ever happen? I don't know. I wish it does happen. In order to build new, sometimes you have to break the old to build the new. We don't need government. We don't need anybody to govern us. We can govern ourselves. The minute you start allowing the government to rule you, that's your oppressor, and you are the oppressed. There's no such thing as a government. Each individual has a sovereign mind to govern themselves. There's just 3 basic rules: don't steal, don't kill, and don't lie to people. Those are just 3 basic rules of life. It is. Just like if I'm walking in a door and I see a woman with a baby and she's struggling, just natural is this natural instinct to help. There's no law that says you must help people. I don't need a law to guide my morality. Now, certain people won't care. They won't help. But that's an individual issue. You don't need to insert laws to dictate human behavior. That's slavery. We're free to do whatever the hell we want. But most killings, most deaths are around money. Think about it. When you watch those murder shows, most people are killing family members to get their insurance money. It's all about money. Most people are being robbed and killed for money. Most people are going to jail for robbing, whether you're robbing a bank, whether you're stealing from your own company. So the system is what forces people to be the way they are. I'm not excusing crime. I'm not excusing the criminals, because you still have to have a level of restraint. But the system is so stressful. It causes people to try to look for that dollar, the rat race. You have a bunch of people on YouTube scamming people, talking about, hey, you can get this money, sign here, you do this. I got a quick way you can make $1 million. And people who are desperate are buying into this nonsense. I just skipped those videos, man. They're playing on our emotions, but that's what they want. When you have a free market economy, there's nothing free about a free market economy. It's a slave market economy, because everyone is a slave to the dollar. And the dollar and the money is controlled by the controllers. They don't care about the money. Those families that run the world, they don't care about money. They have everything they need. Everything they need. You know why? Because the more we work, we're the worker bees. And they're like the queen that just sitting there chilling. They're like the queen bee or the queen ant. And we're the worker bees. We're the peasants. There's no such shit as middle class and the low class. We're all low. We're all low, relatively. I mean, you could compare yourself to a low person and consider yourself middle. What the hell is a middle class to a person who owns you? They own the system. But no one should own anything. Everyone should have a piece of the planet. Everyone should have value or have some type of stake into the planet, which will render everyone value. This idea that a small percentage of people, 1 to 2% of people on the planet own everything. Wage slavery, folks. So when you go to work, quiet quit. Quiet quit. What do I mean by quiet quit? Work, just do the bare minimum. Do the bare minimum. And when you come home, you work hard on yourself. You start reading. You start doing research. Do something to better your mind. Like, I'd rather you do that. I'd rather you go to work and exert the minimum amount of energy at work and then exert 100% of your energy at home. But some of you guys, you can't fathom doing that, because you're like, hold on. At home, I just rest so I can have enough energy to give 110% of my job. You're a freaking slave, man. That's a slave mentality. That's a slave mentality. I don't do that. I do bare minimum. I do. I had to learn that. I wasn't like that initially. When I was young, out of college, in my younger 20s, oh yeah, I believe working hard, because that's what you're brainwashed to believe. No. You work yourself to death. Then you get sick, and the sick healthcare system keeps you sick with these toxic prescriptions that they give you. They don't give you any remedies, because the system profits off of people being sick. It's not a healthcare system. It's a sick health system. All right? It has nothing to do with health. So you find yourself sick, diabetic, obese, because they keep you stressed, and then we become emotional eaters. So when you become an emotional eater, you don't have discretion. You can't use discretion. You can't use discernment. You go for something that's tasteful to your taste buds. The sweets, the junk food, that's what we reach for. Many years of doing that consistently, you find yourself sick. What a miserable existence that is. And we call that freedom. Wake the hell up. We're all wage slaves. That's why it's very hard to try to live a life that goes against that. It doesn't make me a bad person because I give bare minimum at work. It makes me a smart person. I give my 110% to my children and my wife and my home. I don't give 110% at work. You have to be crazy if you think I'm going to do that. But yeah, so this idea that I'm free, yeah, the best slave is a slave that thinks that they're free. That's exactly what they want. We're all indentured servants. We all work a contract. You're being conned, on a track of being conned. I'm signing my contract. I got a yeah, you're being conned. You're on a track of being conned for your time. Time is of the essence. You can't get your time back. They take your time. Whether you have a desk job, whether you have a job where you're exerting manual labor, blue collar, white collar, whatever job you have, it's your time that they want. They don't want you thinking, because they understand what would happen if human beings all start to think. The Tower of Babel will happen again, where human beings come together as one and start to build something that can go against our creators. Not the source, not the creator of all, not that, not the God of your Bible. The God of your Bible is the evil God that you guys think is the one that's all benevolent. No. What benevolent being shatters the innovation of human beings on the planet out of fear that they may end up doing something? It says it. If we don't stop them, they're going to be able to do whatever they want. What's wrong with human beings coming together to achieve whatever we want? Does that make us evil? That lets you know our power and potential. But it's being limited. It's being limited by everybody going to work all the time. You work, you don't have time to think. Think about that for a second. The only time you have to think is, planning your next vacation and paying your bills. Go back to work again. That's it. Our whole lives are predicated on our jobs. What day am I off? What day am I working? I'm off on this day, so I get to do this. But I have to do this because I have to go to work on this day. Everything revolves around work. Work is the center of our universe. It's not supposed to be that way. We are supposed to be the center of our universe. We are the work. Our job is to work on ourselves. But how can you work on yourselves when you're consistently at work working for somebody else? Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Bye.